Jack never wanted to be a captain. He only fixed machines, tightened bolts, and stayed far away from anything important. He liked silence, wires, and quiet coffee breaks. But that quiet life ended the moment alarms screamed through Dock Bay 9. Emergency. Launch, the voice repeated through the loudspeaker. Jack didn't even have time to grab his tools. Someone pushed him. Someone shouted. And before he knew it, he was inside a ship. The doors sealed shut behind him like jaws snapping closed. "Wait. I'm not supposed to be here," he said out loud. But no one listened. The floor rumbled. The ship launched. And stars stretched into long lines outside the view screen. He stumbled into the command bridge, still trying to make sense of it all. Bright lights flashed, and then the strangest thing happened. Holograms appeared all around him, not just any holograms, alien women. Tall, elegant, and fierce-looking. Each one wore a different uniform, armor-like and glowing with symbols Jack couldn't read. They were all beautiful, but their eyes were sharp like blades. A voice echoed in the room, robotic and cold. "Command has been transferred to human designation. Captain Jack Harper." He froze. Did it just say, "Captain"? One of the alien women stepped forward. She had blue skin and silver hair tied back like a warrior's. Her voice was calm but heavy with power. "We await your orders, Captain," she said, looking straight at him. Jack blinked. He wanted to say he wasn't a captain, that this was a mistake, that he only came to repair a coolant pipe. But their eyes were waiting, judging, expecting. If he said the wrong thing, would they throw him out the airlock? "All right," he said slowly. "Status report." It felt like something a captain would say. A few of the alien warriors nodded with approval. One began speaking in a soft voice. "We escaped the battle at Sector Vion 5. Our fleet is scattered." "This ship was left behind," another chimed in. "This one with green eyes and claws instead of fingers. Our ship was marked for demolition, but the launch protocol was triggered when you boarded." Jack listened, his heart pounding. So this wasn't just any ship, it was a warship, abandoned and dangerous. And now he was the captain. "What's your name?" He asked the blue-skinned one. She replied, "Commander Talira of the Elysian Blades." Jack nodded, pretending he understood what that meant. "And the rest of you?" He asked, one by one. They introduced themselves. Each had a strange and unique title: Spear Mistress, Plasma Caller, Void Walker. He tried to remember them all, but it was impossible. All he saw were serious eyes, powerful bodies, and unreadable expressions. Jack sat in the captain's chair carefully, like it might bite him. He looked at the screen, stars slowly drifting by. A warship, alien warriors, a voice calling him captain. How was he supposed to lead them? He didn't even know how to activate the coffee machine on this thing. Just then, a small alert beeped on the console. An unknown ship had entered their scanner range. Jack leaned forward. "Is that one of ours?" he asked. Talira shook her head. "No," she said. "It belongs to the Dargan Empire." The others stiffened, some reaching for weapons or shields. Even holograms showed tension. Jack didn't know who the Dargans were, but by the look in their eyes, they weren't friendly. "Should we run?" he asked. One warrior, the youngest looking, gave him a sharp look. "We don't run," she said, almost insulted. Jack raised his hands. Okay. The enemy ship drew closer. It was much smaller, but its weapons glowed red on the display. Jack knew they had to act fast. But what could he do? His hands hovered above the controls, unsure. Then he remembered something: his old gaming reflexes, fast thinking, risky moves, trick plays. He slammed a few buttons, turned the ship hard to the left. The alien warriors held onto rails, surprised by the sudden movement. "What are you doing?" Talira asked. "Buying us time," he said, sweating. The enemy ship fired, but missed. Jack activated the counter shields and let the ship spin. It wasn't perfect, but it looked dangerous. To the enemy, it might seem like a planned attack. To Jack, it was barely controlled chaos, but somehow it worked. The Dargan ship retreated, disappearing into a warp jump. The crew slowly turned to face him. One by one, they nodded in approval, not for his rank, but for his guts. Talira stepped forward and gave a salute. "You may not be the captain we expected," she said, "but perhaps you're the one we need." Jack leaned back in the chair, exhausted but alive. He didn't choose this ship, this war, or this crew, but they were his now, and deep in space, far from Earth. A new legend had just begun. Asterisk. The stars outside the warship moved slowly, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. Jack sat in the captain's chair, still, unsure if this was real or a strange dream that hadn't ended yet. He rubbed his eyes, hoping someone would walk in and tell him there'd been a mix-up. But no one came. Instead, the crew of alien warrior women stood silently at their stations, graceful and deadly. Their eyes often drifted to him, not with hate, not quite with respect, but with curiosity. He was human, small by their standards, weak in their eyes, yet somehow he now led them. The silence stretched too long. Jack stood up slowly and cleared his throat. "I think we need to talk," he said. Some of the women exchanged glances, but none spoke. Jack felt every second pass like a heavy weight pressing on his chest. "I didn't ask to be captain," he said, "but I also don't want to get us all killed." That got their attention. One of them chuckled, the one with violet skin, and a strange crystal blade strapped to her back. "You already proved you're not completely useless human," she said. Her voice was light but sharp, like laughter with a blade behind it. Jack nodded. "Thanks. I think," he pointed at the main screen, which now showed several broken moons ahead. "We need repairs," he said, "and we need to trust each other." Another woman stepped forward, tall and red-eyed, her movements silent like a shadow. "I am Zara," she said softly. "I speak for the ship's shadow unit." Jack blinked. "Shadow unit?" "Assassins, spies, and silencers," she said without blinking. "We handle problems no one sees." Jack swallowed hard. "Good to know." Another voice broke in, this one louder, deeper, and full of fire. "I am Rethna," said a flame-haired warrior in golden armor. "I speak for the front line." Jack felt the temperature rise just from her presence. She walked right up to him and stared into his eyes. "We don't follow weak leaders," she warned. "If you break, we take over." Jack didn't back away, though his legs begged him to. "I won't break," he said quietly. "But if I do, at least wait until after lunch." A few of them chuckled again, just enough to ease the tension. Still, Jack knew it was a dangerous balance. These weren't soldiers who followed orders blindly. They were proud warriors used to strength, power, and blood. And now, they were stuck with a human who fixed pipes and dodged trouble. Later that day, Jack walked through the halls of the warship alone. The ship was massive, full of strange rooms, glowing walls, and humming energy lines. He passed the training deck and paused. Inside, two of the alien women were sparring, moving like lightning. Their weapons clashed with sparks. Their feet danced across the floor. It was beautiful and terrifying. Jack watched in silence, until one of them noticed him. "Enjoying the view, Captain?" she teased, wiping sweat from her brow. Jack smiled awkwardly. "Just learning." She walked over and handed him a small practice blade. "Try me," she said, her eyes glowing with challenge. Jack hesitated, but took the blade. They circled each other slowly. Jack made a nervous swing, which he easily dodged. In 2 seconds, he was on the floor, staring at the ceiling. The woman grinned and helped him up. "You have speed," she said, "but no balance." "Story of my life," Jack muttered, rubbing his back. That night, Jack returned to the command deck. He called a meeting, and one by one, the crew appeared. They stood in a loose circle around him, silent and waiting. Jack took a breath. "I know I'm not what you expected," he began, "but I'm not going to run away. I need to know something," he said, scanning their faces. "Do you serve this ship, or did you serve someone else before?" Silence followed, but it wasn't empty silence. It was heavy, full of secrets. Finally, Talira stepped forward, her expression unreadable. "This ship once served the high command of Elysia," she said, "but that command is no more." Zara added, "We were scattered, forgotten, abandoned," Rethna spoke too. "Some still serve the old ways, even if they pretend not to," Jack frowned. "You mean?" "Some of you don't trust me," Talira nodded. "Some may see you as a chance to claim the ship for themselves." Jack's stomach turned cold. There were warriors here who might betray him. He looked around and realized every pair of eyes might hold a knife behind them. He had no idea who would protect him and who would strike when his back was turned. Still, he didn't run. "I may be human," he said, "but I'm your captain now. If anyone wants this chair, they'll have to earn it." His words echoed through the deck. No one clapped, no one cheered, but no one walked away either. And in deep space, where trust was more fragile than air, that was enough for now. The warship's lights flickered for a second, just enough to make Jack's heart skip. He stood alone on the bridge, watching stars glide past the glass. For a moment, it felt peaceful, too peaceful, like the quiet that comes just before something terrible. Behind him, the sound of boots echoed across the metallic floor. Talira stepped into the room, her face calm but her eyes sharp as ever. "We've repaired the outer shields," she reported, "but the weapons grid still needs work." Jack nodded slowly, still staring out at space. He didn't know what he was looking for, but he could feel something coming, something close. The feeling turned real a few seconds later. A high-pitched alarm pierced the air on the screen. A red triangle appeared, blinking fast. "Unknown ship approaching." The ship's system said in a cold voice. Talira narrowed her eyes. "No transponder code," Jack frowned. "That means they're hiding who they are." In seconds, the entire bridge came alive. Alien warriors entered quickly, each taking a station with trained speed. Zara slid into the shadows behind a pillar, watching silently. Rethna stood near the weapons console, her fingers itching to touch the fire controls. Jack's voice stayed calm, but his chest tightened with every passing moment. "Can we run?" he asked. "No," said Talira. "Their ship is faster. We either talk or fight." The unknown ship grew larger on the screen. It looked like a jagged black dagger, sharp and wrong. Its engines burned blue, but its shape was twisted, almost alive. Jack didn't like it. He didn't need to know alien languages to feel the threat. A voice crackled through the ship's speakers, rough, deep, and full of hate. "Unmarked vessel, you carry stolen property. Surrender immediately." Jack exchanged a look with Talira. "Property?" he said quietly. "Are they talking about this ship?" Talira didn't answer. Jack looked around and suddenly noticed something strange. Several of the warriors looked tense, but not surprised. He stepped away from the captain's chair and walked to the middle of the room. "Who are they?" he asked. "Don't lie." Zara stepped from the shadows, her voice soft but firm. "They are from the Dargon Wastes, pirates, slavers, and tech raiders. But they only chase ships they once owned," she added, her eyes scanning the others. Jack turned toward Talira. "Did this ship belong to them?" "No," Talira said, but her voice held something Jack couldn't ignore. Doubt. The enemy ship charged a weapon, glowing red on the scanner. Jack didn't have time to untangle half-truths. He looked at Rethna. "Target their engines, don't fire unless they shoot first." Then he turned to Talira. "Open a channel." He faced the screen as it flickered to life, showing a massive Dargon male. His skin was gray and thick like armor, his eyes small and yellow. "You command this ship?" The Dargon growled. Jack nodded slowly. "I do." "Then you're a thief," the Dargon snarled. "That vessel was stolen from our scrapyard." Scrapyard. Jack's mind spun. If what the Dargon said was true, then the ship wasn't just forgotten. It was claimed, legally or not. Someone out there believed they owned it. Jack stayed calm. "The ship activated on its own. I didn't steal anything," he said. "You are flesh." The Dargon sneered. "That ship responds to warblood, not soft meat like you." The insult didn't hurt Jack. but the words confirmed something. This ship was special. And someone didn't want him learning why. Without warning, the Dargon ship fired. A blast of red energy streaked through space and slammed into the shields. The deck shook, lights dimmed, and alarms howled. "Shields holding," Refna shouted. "But they're charging again." "Fire," Jack ordered. Refna grinned and launched a burst of plasma. The alien warriors moved as one, working like a machine. Jack gave fast orders, ducked sparks, and listened to his instincts. The warship danced in space, trading fire with the enemy. But even as the Dargon ship took damage, it didn't slow down. It seemed angry, not scared. "They're trying to board us," Zara said suddenly. "Their hull is pushing against ours." Jack's blood ran cold. He slammed the comms. "Seal all doors. Prep for close combat." The enemy wasn't just after the ship, they were coming for him, and he didn't even know why. Talira stepped beside him, two glowing blades in her hands. "You stay on the bridge," she said. "We'll stop them." Jack shook his head. "They're not just here for the ship, they're here for someone on it." He looked at every face in the room. Every warrior now held a weapon, even the ones who rarely spoke, but one face stood too still, too calm. Jack stared at her. Kirel, the silent navigator. Her eyes met his, and for a split second, he saw fear, not of the enemy, but of being found out. He didn't say a word, not yet. The enemy was already at the airlocks, and the real battle hadn't even begun. The lights died for just 2 seconds, but that was enough, in the middle of the Dargon assault, with red warning lights flashing and battle roars echoing through the ship's halls. 2 seconds of darkness felt like the end of everything. When the lights returned, Jack found himself face to face with an open control panel, one that should have been locked tight. Wires had been pulled, systems rerouted, and something small, almost invisible, was left behind. A spike chip, designed to cause failure, not all at once, but slowly, silently. Jack didn't need alien tech knowledge to understand what that meant. Someone on the ship was sabotaging it from the inside. He didn't tell anyone right away. He quietly closed the panel and marked a location. In his mind, the ship's systems were already under stress. If he announced a traitor in the middle of a boarding attack, the crew would tear each other apart. Outside the bridge, the sound of metal scraping echoed through the walls. The Dargons were trying to cut into the ship. Alien warriors raced down hallways, blades in hand, eyes glowing with battle instinct. Talira stood in front of the sealed airlock. Her blades crossed as she waited for the breach. Jack stayed on the bridge, monitoring everything: life signs, system health, enemy movements. But his mind kept returning to that panel, to that tiny device. Someone on this ship wanted him dead. Or worse, wanted the warship disabled. The breach came with a loud hiss, and chaos followed. Dargon raiders flooded in, their bodies like stone in rage. The warriors met them with fire and steel, and the halls became a blur of color, noise, and death. Jack watched the security feed, helpless to do more. Then something strange happened on the upper deck. The power grid flickered again, but only in one section. The same section where Kirel usually stayed. He pressed the intercom. "Kirel, report status," he said, trying to sound calm. No answer, not even static. He turned to Zara, who had quietly returned to the shadows of the bridge. "I need eyes on deck 4, he said. Zara nodded once and vanished without a word. Jack's chest tightened. He didn't want to believe it. Kirel had been quiet, helpful, soft-spoken, but maybe that was the problem. She had been too quiet, too careful. Minutes passed like hours. Talira returned to the bridge, blood on her blade, not her own. "The raiders are falling back," she said, breathing hard. "But they'll come again." Jack nodded. "Good work." Then Zara's voice came through the comm, soft and cold. "Captain, you should come to deck 4. Jack didn't ask why. He already knew. When he arrived, the hallway lights buzzed and flickered. Smoke filled the corners, and sparks danced from broken panels. Zara stood beside a wall that had been burned open inside, was a hidden room Jack had never seen. In that room, Kirel sat on the floor, her eyes hollow, her hands cuffed behind her. She didn't cry, didn't speak. Just looked at Jack with quiet shame. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone," she said finally. Jack didn't respond. He looked around the room. Maps, encrypted signals, and old data drives filled the shelves. This wasn't just sabotage, this was a spy station. She'd been feeding information to someone, maybe even the Dargans. "I thought I could disable the ship quietly," she whispered, "before the raiders ever found us." Jack's voice was low and cold. "You betrayed your crew." Kirel lowered her eyes. "I was ordered to. Before you ever came aboard," she said. "But then you made them follow you." Jack wanted to scream, but he didn't. He turned to Zara. "Lock down this room, scan every drive." He paused, then added, "Don't hurt her yet." When he returned to the bridge, the crew could feel something had shifted. No one asked questions, but eyes followed him more closely now. Refna leaned in as he passed and said, "You're starting to sound like a real captain." Jack didn't smile. He sat down in the command chair, his thoughts heavy. He had survived the enemy, won the trust of warriors, even uncovered a traitor, but he was still far from understanding the ship's true purpose. And deep in the data, Zara now sorted through. Secrets waited, not just about Kirel, not just about the ship, but about Jack himself, about why the ship responded to him, and no one else. The war wasn't just outside anymore, it had entered the walls, the minds, and maybe even his own blood. And someone out there wanted to make sure he'd never found out why. The stars vanished. One moment the ship was gliding through open space, and the next they were swallowed by thick clouds of green and purple gas. The nebula wrapped around the warship like a living fog, hiding every light, every star, every possible escape. Jack stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the swirling mist ahead. There was no up or down, no direction, just endless glowing clouds shifting like ghosts. "Why here?" he whispered, more to himself than anyone else. Talira stood beside him, arms crossed, her face unreadable. "We needed to disappear," she said. "This place eats signals. No one will follow us in." Zara, half hidden in the corner, added softly, "Or out." The warship moved slowly now. Blind to what lay ahead, sensors failed, communications dropped, and even the artificial gravity began to flicker. Jack felt the pressure of the nebula inside his chest, as if it were squeezing his breath. He didn't trust it. He didn't trust silence anymore. In the shadows of the engineering bay, Kirel sat in a locked room, still watched closely. She hadn't spoken since her arrest. Zara made sure she was fed and safe, but the trust was gone. The crew didn't speak of her, not openly, but Jack knew some still wondered if she was right. Right to fear the ship, right to try to shut it down. "Power levels are unstable," Refna reported, frowning at the controls. "The ship's core doesn't like the nebula." Jack walked over, studying the flickering energy displays. "It's reacting to something," he said. "Or someone." He didn't say what he was really thinking. The warship had a mind of its own. Ever since he arrived, it responded to his voice, his touch, even his emotions. It was more than just metal. It was watching, listening. Talira turned from the front screen. "There's an old mining station deep inside this nebula," she said. "Dead for years. But its shell might shield us." Jack nodded. "Set course." The ship groaned as it turned. Lights dimming as if tired. Hours passed, or maybe days. Inside the nebula, time felt strange. Crew members moved like shadows, whispering when they thought Jack wasn't listening. He heard one name more than once, Valian. Jack found Talira alone near the observation deck, staring into the glowing mist. He stood beside her and waited. Finally she spoke. "You've seen the ship's strange behavior, haven't you?" Jack nodded. "It's alive in some way," Talira sighed. "This ship was not just a war machine. It was built around something ancient." Jack frowned. "What do you mean?" She turned to face him, her voice low. "An artifact ... From The Valian era, an empire older than most stars. Jack stepped back, confused. You mean this ship is powered by something alien? Yes, she said. So old even our ancestors feared it. Jack stared at the walls, the pulsing lights, the smooth curves of the ship's structure. Everything had felt strange since day one, but now it all made sense. The ship chose him, not because of luck, but because the artifact inside accepted him. As they neared the abandoned station, systems began to shut down. One by one, lights went dark, engines slowed. And even the ship's voice grew silent. Jack ordered emergency lights, but they barely worked. In the flickering glow, the warship floated into the docking bay of a massive, dead station. Metal arms reached out, locking them in place, inside. The silence was worse than the nebula. No wind, no hum. Just a cold stillness that crawled over the skin. Jack stepped off the ramp with Refna and Talira beside him. The floor cracked with every step. Dust floated in the air like frozen ash. They moved carefully, lights sweeping across ruined walls. Old signs and strange symbols blinked with dying energy. But something waited deeper inside. Something not dead. They found it in a sealed chamber, an orb, floating in the air, pulsing gently with blue light. Talira fell to one knee, eyes wide. That's it, she whispered. The Valian heart. Jack stepped closer. The moment he did, the orb pulsed stronger, and far behind him, deep inside the warship, systems began to come alive, but not as they were before. Different, stronger. Hungrier, Zara's voice buzzed through the com. Captain, you need to return now. Something's happening to the ship. Jack looked at the orb, then at his own hand. A faint blue glow had appeared under his skin. He wasn't just bonded to the ship anymore. It was bonding with him, and he had no idea what that meant, or what would happen if he let it finish. Asterisk. The warship groaned like a living creature in pain. Lights flashed red, then white, then died again. Jack sprinted through the corridors, each step echoing louder than the last. His skin still glowed faintly from the orb's touch, and he could feel something moving inside the ship, something old, something awake. As he reached the bridge, the doors didn't open for him like before. He stopped, placed his hand on the panel, and whispered, "It's me." A soft pulse traveled through the metal, and the doors slid open without a sound inside. The crew had gathered, but not by his orders. They stood in a half circle, weapons holstered, arms crossed, eyes sharp. Talira stood in front of them, her blades sheathed but ready. Refna leaned against a wall, watching like a predator waiting for a sign. Zara emerged silently from the shadows, as always unreadable. Jack stepped forward slowly. He could feel the shift in the air. This wasn't a crew meeting. This was a test. You brought something back with you, Talira said calmly, but her tone had steel. Jack nodded. The Valian heart. Not just that, Zara said. Her eyes locked on his faintly glowing hand. It changed you. I didn't ask for it, Jack replied, but it chose me. A long silence followed. Then Refna pushed off the wall and stepped forward. You are not one of us, she said, voice like fire. You have no clan, no bloodline, no warrior name. I know, Jack said, standing firm. But I have something else. The ship listens to me, and I didn't force it to. He walked to the center of the bridge, looking at each of them in turn. I fixed your systems, saved your lives, led you through battles, he said. But that's not enough, is it? Zara nodded. You must earn command, not by accident, but by will. Talira stepped forward, placing something on the floor between them, a combat rod. Long and silver. The old ways demand proof, she said. You face one challenge, and if you remain standing, you remain captain. Jack stared at the rod, then at the silent faces around him. You want me to fight? He asked, voice dry. Talira didn't blink. No. We want you to survive. Refna stepped forward, cracking her knuckles. I'll be your opponent, she said, grinning. No holding back. Jack looked at her, then back at the others. This is a joke, he said. She's 10 times stronger than me. Then prove you're 10 times smarter, Zara whispered. He sighed, picked up the rod, and held it like a broom. The circle closed around them, the crew watching silently. Rethna charged first, fast and fierce. Jack barely dodged her blow. It cracked the floor where he had just been standing. He ducked, rolled, swung the rod like a stick. Rethna blocked it with ease, grabbed the end, and yanked it from his hands. Jack flew backward, hit the floor, groaned, and didn't move. Somewhere, someone laughed. He slowly stood, blood on his lip. Then he smiled. Not because he was winning, because he realized something. He wasn't here to defeat her. He was here to prove that nothing could break him. Rethna charged again. But this time Jack didn't back down. He stepped forward, arms wide, and shouted, "Hit me with your best." She hesitated for a second, just enough, then swung. Jack ducked low, swept her legs with his foot, and made her stumble. Gasps filled the air. Rethna hit the ground hard, and Jack pressed a foot to her chest. "I'm not stronger than you," he said, breathing heavy. "But I'm still standing." Rethna blinked, then grinned. She grabbed his ankle, flipped him over, and sat beside him laughing. "Fine," she said. "You win, weakling." Talira stepped forward, nodding. "The ship chose you," she said. "Now ... We do too." The crew stepped closer, forming a tight ring, not of doubt, but of unity. Each one placed their hand over their chest. "A salute of their kind," Zara added quietly. "There may be others watching you now, not just us." Jack looked up, confused. "What do you mean?" Talira pointed to the main screen. An alert flashed. "Signal detected from unknown Valian source. They know the heart is active again," she said, "and they may come for it." Jack stood, body bruised but heart burning. He wasn't just the accidental captain anymore. He had earned the crew, the title, and the right to lead. But now, something older, something hidden for ages, was watching him too, and the real war hadn't even started yet. The stars returned like angry eyes blinking open. The nebula faded behind them, but peace did not come. Jack stood at the center of the bridge, surrounded by silence, not the silence of space, but the kind before a storm hits, when even machines seem to hold their breath. The warning came in 3 flashes. No sound, just 3 bursts of red across the screen. Then it appeared, a ship, bigger than anything they had seen before, not built like the others, not flying, gliding, like it was part of the space around it. Talira whispered first, "Valian design." Rethna stepped forward, voice sharp. "That's no Dargon craft." Zara narrowed her eyes. "It's not even alive, not in the way we understand." Jack stared at the ship's shape, ancient and terrifying. It wasn't just a vessel, it was a warning. The Valian heart had awakened something, and now that something had come to take it back. The crew looked to Jack, waiting, not out of fear, but out of trust. He had earned their loyalty, their belief. Now he had to earn their future. Jack stood tall, voice calm. Battle stations, they moved as one, faster than ever before. Weapons hummed. Shields grew brighter. And the warship, their warship, roared to life. But this enemy was different. It didn't fire at first. It sent out a signal, a low, slow pulse felt deep in the chest. Jack gasped, clutching his ribs. The heart inside him pulsed an answer. His skin glowed again, brighter than before. A voice echoed through the bridge. Not through speakers, but inside their heads. "You are not worthy to carry the flame," it said, cold as a dead star. Talira winced. Rethna snarled. Zara gritted her teeth, but Jack stayed calm. He stepped toward the screen. "I didn't ask for the flame," he said aloud. "But it came to me anyway," the voice replied. "Return it, or burn with it." Jack didn't flinch. He placed his hand on the ship's control sphere, the glowing core in the center of the bridge. For a moment, time froze. The sphere turned blue, then gold. The ship responded not just as a machine, but as something. Awake, aware, and loyal. Panels opened, weapons charged beyond design limits. The warship screamed through space, faster than light, closing in on the enemy. Jack shouted commands, trusting his instincts. The crew followed, moving like parts of one body. The first hit came from the Valian ship, a beam of silence. Not heat, not light, just absence. It carved through empty space and grazed their hull. Metal turned to dust. Jack growled, "Target their energy nodes. Hit the points that glow." Dull, not bright. Rethna fired the plasma cannons. Talira directed the fighter drones. Zara rerouted internal power, pushing all energy to weapons. The warship danced and struck, bled and roared. But the enemy kept coming. Unstoppable, slow, eternal. Then Jack closed his eyes. He saw it, not the enemy ship, but the heart inside. It pulsed faster, sending waves through his mind. A command not in words, but in feeling. Merge. Jack placed both hands on the sphere. The ship shook, lights burst, and a wave of gold flooded the bridge. The heart connected with the warship completely through him. Every system glowed. Every weapon doubled in strength. The ship became more than a vessel. It became a living blade, and Jack became its edge. He whispered one word, "Now." The warship shot forward, a beam of light and fury. It pierced through the Valian ship's core. For one brief second, everything stopped. Then explosion, silence, stars. The enemy was gone. Smoke filled the bridge. Systems rebooted. And the crew slowly looked around, bruised, tired, but alive. Talira walked over and placed her hand on Jack's shoulder. "You didn't just command the ship," she said. "You became part of it." Rethna grinned, limping. "Guess we keep you, Captain." Zara simply nodded. "The galaxy will know your name now." Jack sat down slowly, exhausted. The stars outside twinkled again, but this time they didn't feel so cold. He looked at his hand, no longer glowing, but marked forever by the heart. He didn't understand it all, not yet, but he knew one thing for sure. He was no longer just a man on a warship. He was the captain it chose, and whatever came next, he wouldn't face it alone.